So, let us talk about strips. Now, in Wix, these are a very important and really nice component. They are basically these things that go from edge to edge, and you can use them in two ways. You can use them as a design element, but you can also use them to organize your page, your website, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that right now. Now, I have already put a lot of strips in here, and I'm going to show you how that works in just a minute, but I'm going to put the last one down here now so that you can see what I'm doing. We have already in previous tutorials talked quite a bit about strips, but we haven't considered them as organizational objects. So if you go to Strip and Classic and you just drag this here, and then you can just, the other strip before it is right here, so I have just put this right up against it, but I'm actually going to move it away a bit because there's something I want to show you with this. And then if you make this really wide and then drag it into the strip until the strip gets blue. So it's changed color right now, as you can see. So now this thing here is actually attached to the strip. So it's moving together with the strip. It's a part of the strip. Okay? And one thing that you have to pay attention to, when you drag that classic white strip from here, then you have to know that this is actually not white. It's slightly off-white. It's not exactly white. So if I preview this, then you will probably be able to just about able to see the difference here. I'm not sure if this is going to actually play back on the video, but there is a difference. So if you want the background of your website to be white, like white, then you have to make sure that you change all this, because it is not actually white. It is slightly off-white. And now let's just adjust the page height, and it'll automatically stop where the strip is. You won't be able to go further than this because this is where the strip is. And now I have the space here, and what I want to do is I want to show you now how this works as an organizational device. So let me just go back and do this again. If you go up here, it says zoom out and reorder. So if you click on this, you will zoom out from your page, and every strip will be a separate piece. And so I've even got very small pieces in strips, as you can see here. And this is a strip anyway, and this is a strip, and this is a strip. However, this is a strip, this is a strip. Now look, remember I left this deliberately away from the other one? What you can do is you can delete all of these spaces as well. So anything that's not completely butting up against the strip above it or below it, you can just delete those spaces. And then what you can do, which is fantastic, is you can actually move these up and down. So let's say that I change my mind and I want this phone to be up here. All I would need to do is this, and it will come right up here. And if I want it to go back to where it is, then I can do that. If I want this piece to move down, and okay, so now I have it down. So this temporarily has this, it's still a strip, it's still exactly how it was, but right now we're seeing it in a funny way. So if I want to move this down, I can just move it down, and if I want to move it back up, I can just move it back up. And then if I exit the mode, then right now I haven't changed anything. I mean, I put everything back to where it is, but there may be a situation where you actually want this to change, and then it is very, very easy for you to change it like that. However, you can also use them as design elements, and that's a really great way of making your website look more interesting as well, because you can alternate the colors of the strips, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So once again, I actually went ahead and did most of this in order to shorten the tutorial, but basically what I've done is let me go like this. I have made alternate strips a dark gray. So I have one here, I have one here, I have one here, and I've left these because I want to do them here during the tutorial. So very straightforward, you just go here, and I made the gray. I didn't like any of these here, so I made my own gray, which is dark but not close to black, or you know, close to some. I mean, this is almost black, but you know, I want something that is a little bit more subtle, so I just made this. Now, one thing that I want to draw your attention to is that while this regular weight of the text that we have here looks perfectly okay when you have it against a white background, like here for example, this is exactly the same weight as the other one. When you put it on a dark background, it usually tends to become too heavy, too thick. So when you put text on a dark background, it is usually a good idea to go to one lighter weight. So that's what I've just done now. And also, again, when you have text that is on a dark background, it is usually a good idea to also increase the line space a little bit. And what you are probably noticing right now is that as I'm doing that, the strip is actually growing longer with me. So it is adjusting itself to its content, so we don't need to worry about those things. So what has happened now is that this phone that I had is now also going up into this gray area, and so that is also a nice kind of addition. Now, since I put the strip here, so now that I've put the strip here, I probably no longer need this line, which I had put in order to create a kind of like a base for all of these elements to sit on during a previous tutorial. So I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to make this strip a little bit narrower, and then I'm actually going to just go in here, and it's going to say delete space, and I'm just going to delete that space instead of having to fool around with moving the strip up and down. So here I have the previous strip with the image in it, which also has an animation, as you know, right here. So now I have this dark gray thing, like a band above it, which is kind of like an introduction to it. And then the explanation for it, which I have already made light actually, like I did with the other one to show you, is then below it. Then we have this here, which is that box with the inset typography, which I am going to leave on a white background because it's going to look much better like that because of the inset. Because if I were to make this dark, so let's for example just try it out here, then you know we suddenly have this big white box here, and we would need to figure out a way of fixing that. And also this black box that we have at the bottom, that becomes kind of like useless because it's so close to the gray, so we would need to figure out a way of dealing with that. So it's smarter to just leave this white, and also because we want to alternate. We want to have a dark one, a light one, dark one, light one, dark one, light one, like that, so that the website, the page, actually becomes more interesting. Now, this one here I'm going to leave exactly as it is, but this strip here I'm now going to change. I'm going to make it that same color. Make this white. But here I'm actually going to leave this in the regular weight, and again I'm going to go here and just delete the space here instead of fooling around with it by hand. And then we have the hover box, which I think is going to look much better on a white background. And I'm just going to move this up to that thing, and then move the page up here. So now not only do we have a page that is very easy to organize because everything is in a separate container, because what this strip actually is it is a wide container. It's a container that goes from edge to edge. And so it's easy for us to organize the website, but it also gives us a really nice design element. Now obviously you could use colors in these strips, but with colors you have to be careful. You have to have a color scheme that you pay attention to and things like that. So that is something that you can also think about, but think about in a careful way. Again, I'm going to repeat this. Black, white, and gray are your best friends. And of course, black, white, and gray are the things that are going to make your images pop out. Now, if I had a color here, this image wouldn't be popping out like that. Or this here would certainly not be popping out like that if I had made this some other color. So we can just give it a try right now. So if I make it this color, for example, I am really losing the effect of not only this image right here, but I'm also losing the effect of the image. These things will always work much better when they are put up against black, white, or gray. So now that's it for using strips both as a organizational element and as a design element. See you later.